Warning, don't believe the AI trading hype until you watch this entire video. Hi, I'm Lane Mendelson.
There we go. All right, family. Sorry about the delays. We had a couple of techie issues, but I think we are good to go. Welcome to our Enter Shaolin / Enter Tai Chi Kung Fu Q&A. We're going to talk about martial arts, fitness, health, wellness, and of course, anything else within reason. If you haven't already, go ahead and give us a shout out down below in the comments. Let us know where you're coming in from. And as always, if you have any questions or comments, go ahead and put those in right now as well. I am your host, CJ Jamie. This is Sifu Fu. Sifu Larry is somewhere in the office. He may or may not make an appearance. You know how it is. Let us know if you can hear us okay. And let's see who is currently on. I see we have several people watching, but only a couple people have put anything in the chat. Don't be shy. Come on out of hiding and let us know where you're coming in from. All right, right now we have John Jenks is on. We have Aman on. Good to see you. We have Shalom on. We have Matthew on as well. Let me see here. Hi, seafood. What are good herbs? Well, it depends on what type of ailment we're talking about. So could you be a little bit more specific? There's tons of good herbs. As a matter of fact, I don't know an herb that is not of some kind of good, useful purpose. He's probably not the right one to ask. You want to talk to the CJ on that one. So
Yes.
let me know what you're needing help with, and I can point you in the right direction. And I can also do a little research if I need to do a little deep diving on whatever your issue is. If it's something sensitive and you don't really want to talk about it on the World Wide Web, email me at support@entershaolin.com and say, hey, CJ Jamie, I need your help. Let me know what I can do for X, Y, and Z, and I will be glad to point you in the right direction and share resources with you to help you do your own due diligence. Obviously, I'm not a doctor, not a physician. However, I do a lot of research on this stuff, and I love natural healing. I love God's pharmacy, not so much man's. So I will point you in the right direction and encourage you to do your due diligence. Obviously, if you work with a physician, talk to them, especially if you're on any other types of things like prescription drugs or pregnant, so on and so forth, just to make sure there's no contradictions. And hey, if you let me know if you're on anything, I'll do my best to also make sure to point you in the right direction on things that would be more beneficial for you if you are on different things like that or have a specific condition. So that's how I can help you. With inflammation, well, the first thing I'd actually say to do, Matthew, is look at your diet and your lifestyle before you look at herbs for inflammation. Mainly people are inflamed because of their dietary choices. A lot of people think diet means like, oh, I'm trying to lose weight. Diet just means like, what do you eat on a regular basis? It's what you choose to eat. And some people can handle certain diets better than others, but generally overall, it needs to be whole foods. So do me a favor, because it's a lot to go over. Email me at support@entershaolin.com, or you can just go to the website, entershaolin.com, and click on contact and fill out the form there. And let me know what you're currently eating on a regular basis. Are you eating whole foods? What type of meats that you're eating? If you're eating meat, what type of grains you're eating? If you're eating grains, what fruits and vegetables are you eating or not eating type of thing? What do you drink on a regular basis? Are you drinking coffee? If so, what type? A lot of people don't realize this. Not all coffee is healthy for you. A lot of it has mold in it based on how it's processed and dried. So if you're drinking a specific type of coffee that is actually causing you dehydration and inflammation, that would be a no-go. So there's a lot of different things. If you're drinking sodas on a regular basis, cut those babies out. If you're eating processed sugars on a regular basis, also cut those out. So there's probably more of a dietary thing that needs to be addressed than an herbs related thing. Though there are some things that can help you with inflammation. Turmeric is great for reducing inflammation, berberine, there's all kinds of different things. But instead of looking at, hey, how can I increase my bottom line by adding supplements in, I rather look at how can we decrease maybe the things that are causing the inflammation first. And then if you still need additional help from the herbs, then that's where we're going to go to. I hope that makes sense. So let me know. Just email me again at support@entershaolin.com. I will gather some information together based on what you send me, give you some recommendations, and encourage you to do your due diligence and test and prove all things and help you get going in the right direction.
One thing I can say is if you want to help decrease inflammation, you can take pineapple. It has an element in there called bromelain, which is an anti-inflammatory thing.
Well, that's what I was saying. Most of the time, it's food that needs
I know.
to be
I'm
changed.
saying is
So
he's trying to see what he can take to help inflammation. I'm not an herbalist,
yeah,
but I did juice for a while. I'm not talking steroids. I'm talking about drinking, juicing. So I learned about what you can take and what you cannot take, what's good for you, and pineapple is good to eat because it has the bromelain, which just helps reduces inflammation in the body.
And actually, really, all fruits help reduce inflammation too. So juicing is really amazing for that. Leafy greens, celery, all that good stuff. But that's why I said, write to me. Let me know like what you're actually eating. Let's start there. Let's refine what's going inside the body because that's going to help reduce inflammation off the bat. And then if we still need support from different herbs and things like that, like curcumin or other types of things that we already mentioned, then we'll go there. But it's best to treat, don't be like mainstream, medical thing. This is where I have a lot of problem, even with a lot of mainstream herbalists, is a lot of times they treat the symptom, not going, why is this symptom even happening? So I'd rather find out why the symptom's happening, eliminate the symptom through proper lifestyle. And then if we still need support of herbs to kind of like add that extra edge, then we can bring those along to support. But I don't want you to have to spend extra money. I'd rather help you probably spend less money and feel a whole lot better throughout the process. So if you're interested, give me a contact. All right. Let's see. And yeah, so elbow inflammation. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that can be taken for that. But again, I promise you, if we look at your diet, like Seafood Larry, when he was on his cancer healing journey, he used to complain of all these aches and pains, weird bumps he would get and rashes and things like that. He had bad allergies. He thought there was, seasonal allergies, all these different things that he's like, oh, I've had this my whole life, blah, 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 blah. Well, I put him on an anti-inflammatory diet. All of a sudden, all those problems went away. So I always say, first, let's look at what you're doing on a regular basis. And I also highly recommend Qigong. That will also help with reducing inflammation. Indeed. Melanie, hi family, coming in from Southern Utah. I'm listening, but may not be actively chatting. No problem, hun. Thank you for letting us know and thank you for being here. We also have Jan, who is from Slovenia. Awesome, good to see you. And let's see.
Shalom has a question.
Yeah, I was going to scroll back up. I saw that one. Shalom says, hi guys, Sifu, please elaborate on the changes you did on Wing Chun to make it work. Thanks.
Oh, okay. So one of the major thing is we emphasize a lot on wrist control. A lot of Wing Chun does not. They use wrists like this. This is how they say they use their wrists, and that's not articulation from the wrist. That's moving the arm, which the hand is following. So I like to tell my students the hands always have to be the head of the snake, not the tail of the snake. So when you learn to use your wrist, this is using your wrist from the wrist. This is articulation of the wrist when you're doing this. This is not. That is your arm moving and your wrist is following. So the main principle is you got to learn to bring your wrist and lead from the wrist in terms of directional control. I tell my students all the time, the wrist is always the last, yet it's always the first. Okay, so the wrist always has to be the last, but it has to be the first at the same time. And what do I mean by that? Wrist is always the last to get the energy. The energy has to come from the ground, through your body, into the shoulders, into the elbows, into the wrist. So it's always the last to get it, but it's always the first to control it. It's always the first to steer it. And technically speaking, it's the only thing that steers energy. So that's one of the major things that I used through my training for my family, Godek to enhance the Wing Chun. The other thing is we don't teach how to put center line with the arms. They don't work. That's why Wing Chun fails every time they go against a boxer, against an MMA guy, because it's not about being in center. I don't know where it got lost, but Wing Chun is not about being in center line. It's getting center line. So when people start doing tan saos and they bring their elbows in like this and they bring their pack, it doesn't work, okay? A straight line can be easily counted on anywhere from a 360-degree circumference around the arm. And what I mean by that, she's going a straight line, it can be intercepted anywhere here, 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 here. And so when you put a straight line on something, yes, it's strong when you push from end to end. So her arm is easily powerful if I push from here to here. It's very, very strong, but it's weak here. It's weak this way. It's weak that way. So any movement that's coming outside the center line, coming in, it can break the arm. It doesn't have the ability to steer. The rule of the body, this is anatomical rules, okay? The further you go out with your arm, the more pressure you can hold from collapsing. So you can hold a lot of pressure out here when somebody's pushing in your arm. However, the ability to steer is very, very weak. The closer you go to your body, the structural integrity is weaker, but the ability to steer is much higher. So there's always, and anything you look at, there's always a positive and a negative somewhere. Okay, everything has a positive, everything has a negative. So the idea is you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket, because if it hits great, great. If it hits bad, it comes with consequences. Like putting all your fortune on a roulette table, black or red. Is it black or red?
Which part?
On a roulette table.
I think so. Yeah.
Black or red, or black or white, whatever.
What are those?
I don't gamble.
We're not gamblers here, so I can't help you.
I wouldn't put my whole entire fortune
right.
on black or red or one or the other. Because if I win, I can win big, but I can lose big. It's not worth the risk. So one of the things that I teach is we don't go to center line, stay in center line. You have to go to center line. And what you can see is, and I can show you some physical aspects, if you bring your arms like where you're putting everything in the center, if she's punching me straight line, right? It's like I have to fight to hold this. okay? If I bring my elbow out to my gates, the arm will naturally come outside my body. If I do this, it really wants to go within my frame. So it's no good. So that's why, like I said, we don't try to be in center line, we take center line. So that's another big difference that we focus on. Hook punches, great example. I've done this with Wing Chun guys. They get punched in the face all the time with hook punches. It works against a Wing Chun guy, and I know why it does. Against a boxer, it doesn't. I know the difference. But when a boxer comes, he throws a hook punch like this, you do a tandar, you get killed. It's because they're bringing the elbow to the center line. And the problem with that is there's certain rules in physics that you have to comply with. And this is the laws of nature. Okay? Like I tell my students, you have to become a two-side fighter. You can't become a one-side fighter. You're a one-side fighter, you're dead. You'll get killed every time. And what I mean by that is if she's throwing a hook punch, and my projection, actually go this way, they can see it.
Okay.
Yeah. You see, I'm on the inside of her arm. If I project my energy to the inside, that's like walking a tightrope, leading my head over to the left. As I'm about to fall, I extend my hands to the left. I'm not going to save myself. I'm going to fall. If I lean to the left, I have to have a right side force to keep myself stable. I have an inside connection with an inside pressure. It's never going to work. I have to project the pressure outside. So she punched me. You can see the projection is outside. If I do it like this, I do it like this inside, I'm gonna get hit. So that's one of the things that we tell my students. I tell my students all the time. Like you can't. That's why we don't try to be in center line. You get killed. Why does it work in Wing Chun schools when they throw in a hook punch and they do this technique and it works? Okay, there's a reason why. Most people in the Wing Chun schools, when they throw a hook punch, they punch with the elbow down. So if she's doing a tandar center line with the elbow in the center, it works great because this is how I see people in Wing Chun do it. And they can make this stop all the time because their elbow's down, so it blocks it. But she does that same thing again. If I'm doing boxer's punch, they'll get killed. And then so when they ever fight a boxer, they think they're able to stop it, but they don't because they don't understand anatomics and
then people go, Wing Chun sucks. Say, look, you can't do this.
Most Wing Chuns have become designed to fight Wing Chun against Wing Chun, and it can work because the guy's doing the same thing, being center line, so you're all playing the same field of the rules. When a guy breaks outside that rule, that's when they have trouble. So you cannot be center line all the time because it works. Like I said, she's going with the center line. I'm going with center line. She goes to the center line here, and I do, and we all do this. Yeah, it works great. Like this all works because we're both here. We both agree to stay here. But when a guy goes outside that and you do this, it will never work. I will always bet against you. Always bet against you against a boxer if you try to do that tandem.
And this is where he's a betting man.
So the goal is like I said, it's these are all principles that we teach. You have to be a two-side fighter, not a one-side fighter. And you can do this. If I pass out like this, and this is why Wing Chun people, they give me straight punch, they pack and they go like this. They have this force. They have to do that because they can't control the energy, so they have to overcome the energy. You don't want to overcome someone who's 3 times stronger than you. You can't. It's just physically impossible. So when she's packing like this, if I project my elbow like this from the outside, she can overpower me because I'm going from here and I'm coming from this way. I'm attacking. Let's use the side. Okay. They can see it better. So right now, I'm projecting here to here. Okay, I'm outside with an outside projection going to the outside. It will never work against someone strong. She's punching forcefully. I will always feel that pressure build. The goal is to project to the opposite side. So my object is to put the pressure inside her elbow. So I would this is the projection I want, not this. So if she does it again, I have that projection inside. Now I have structure. Now I have control. So, and these are principles that we teach that's very, very different from other Wing Chun schools because they don't do that. They don't control from the wrist. They don't learn how to create structural integrity. They create strong hands, strong force. And can it work? Yeah. If you're fighting over somebody weaker, yeah, you can overpower them. But again, you don't need training if you can beat someone because you're just stronger than them. You know, I don't brag about coming home. It's like, yeah, I tell my kids, yeah, this 5-year-old kid came and then you should have seen it. He stood up to me, he tried to be tough, and I beat him like silly. Like I wouldn't brag about that. You know, being a 5-year-old kid is not something to brag about as an adult.
No.
So it's always Wing Chun's supposed to be able to not handle people weaker than you. It's designed to handle people stronger than you. plus more force. So how do you handle when someone is much stronger? You can't be more aggressive in terms of adding more strength against them. You have to be smarter. You like the video games. You have those big, strong guys who can knock you out in a single punch, and you're the small, tiny person, but you're much faster. So you have to use what you have to your asset. So we can't overpower someone who's much stronger than we are. We control them. And we control them through the wrist. Wrist is your ability to control. Arms are not made to control. Arms are made to create structure, create force, intent. They're not made to control energy. Wrists are. You know, when you swing golf, when you baseball, basketball, anything. When you throw a basketball, you don't do this to throw a ball. You use your wrist. You use your arm to support the wrist so the wrist can aim and control, but your wrist is your control. It's you can see it in your life and how you do hockey. You know, you have your arms here, but you use your wrist to turn the stick. You baseball, it's about getting the base out with your elbow and then turning the wrist to get that power. Tennis, they all have the same thing because that's the way the body works. So your wrist is your control, your arm is your structure. That's how it works. That's your yin and yang. Your arm creates hard force, your wrist creates a soft force. It's what directs energy, controls energy, and focuses energy. Your arms are not made to do that. Your arms are made to create energy. It's supposed to create force, supposed to create structure, intent. Your wrist is supposed to control it. That's how they work together, that yin and yang principle. Like I talk all the time. Soft don't work, okay? Any soft styles out there, it won't work against a strong fighter. Very rarely will you ever see a soft fighter who practice soft styles will ever win against a hard fighter because you can't influence someone without hardness. Okay, these soft styles to absorb energy, it's wrong. You can't use soft to absorb. You have to use soft to convert, to control energy. When you use soft to absorb, you're taking the pressure in. Now, what happens if it's more than you think? It becomes overwhelming. That's why people get overwhelmed. She punches me and I do this, I can get knocked back. It's because I don't have structure. You have to have some type of structure in order to create influence. So you have to have some type of construction. It has to be consistent in your structure and the difference you convert. I always talk about that. You create whatever pressure you want to create, 5, 10, 100, 1,000, it doesn't matter. Whatever pressure you pick and stick. The difference you convert. If I have 100 pounds of pressure, it hits me at 40, I'm not going to bend, I'm not going to convert, I'm just plow through her because she doesn't have enough force. But she has 150 and I'm 100. What do I do with the 50? I convert it. That's where the wrist comes in. That's why I demonstrate all the time how I use my finger. I can control people because I don't have to fight them. I just have to convert them. And so that's one of the biggest difference that we use. Well, we use our wrist. We don't go center line. We take center line. We're not in center line. We don't learn how to overcome force. We learn how to control force. We don't try to create structure to resist pressure. We create a structure to maintain pressure and the difference we convert. So these are like really the big differences that we do in our Wing Chun versus other people Wing Chun. And I can't answer for other people. Some people say, well, we do our wrist, and if they do the wrist right, then I'm not going to say nothing. I'm not saying all Wing Chun's wrong. I'm saying the ones I've seen, the ones I see on videos, they're wrong. Because they generate all the speed, but what good is speed if you can't have power behind it? So their focus is off. They don't use the wrist. They use their shoulders. I've seen people do all these punches, and it's like, yeah, you're an external fighter. You're hitting hard, but not powerful. There's a difference. Okay, sledgehammer hits hard. Mm-hmm. An axe hits powerfully. And so we have to learn to hit like an axe, not like a sledgehammer. And sledgehammer can hurt. Don't get me wrong. If you're bigger and stronger than the person, but when you're a 150-pound guy hitting a 280-pound guy coming at you full force, it becomes more difficult to stop that guy because you're trying to go against the mass. Whereas you're breaking the point. That's our focus. We're not trying to overcome the mass. We concentrate 1 square inch. When we hit, we're like a bullet. We try, or a knife. We pierce. We go to the point. We don't attack the mass. We attack the single point. And these are our main focuses that we are different.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. All right, we've got a lot of stuff to comment and catch up on over here. First, I just want to let you know, OTW, if you have any recommendations for beginner courses in Wing Chun, of course, come train with us at entershaolin.com/join is where you want to go and take a look at all the stuff that we teach. We teach people from beginner to advanced to people that are teachers themselves. So you are in a really great spot. Come on over, jump on in. Let's see, let me go back a little bit more. Gregory says, understand about the wrist. What would be the best wrist exercises for wrist strength? We do have lots of that in our core training section at entershaolin.com, but can you give Gregory one good one to help with wrist strength?
Okay, if you're learning how to control, you don't need strength on the wrist. You really need to keep consistency in your arm, and your wrist has to know how to turn to point. The wrist doesn't need strength. It doesn't need strength at all. It needs support from the arm. So the main thing is you got to keep your base and your drive to work in order for the wrist to work. So think of your base as your first floor, your drive as your second floor, your torquing of your wrist is your third floor. What good is the third floor if the first floor and the second floor cannot hold the structure? It'll collapse. So wrist is really just articulation like this. Now you can use wrist for things like locking, for grappling, but when you're looking about for combat, you don't need wrist strength, you need wrist control. And that needs to be supported by the arm. And what I mean by that, for example, this is like she's punching me and I do this. If I turn my arm like this, I don't need a lot of strength, but you see how she was able to come this way? Because my structure broke. She does it again. It's different. I have structural integrity now. I have my base, my drive, and it's not collapsing. Whereas if I do this, I go like this. You see how it looks like it's going back into my shoulder? That's wrong. That's negative energy going back. That's not proper base. That's not proper drive. So wrist doesn't need much. You don't need much to control wrist at all. You really need, you have your base and your drive to support the wrist. Without the base and drive, the wrist is nothing. So you can lift 1,000 pounds with your wrist, and without the base and drive behind it, it's nothing. And I can show you the science. And you can do it too. You can do this experiment with your friends. If you have an arm wrestling, you ever arm wrestle, everyone's arm wrestled before in their life. If I had her elbow steady and solid, can you turn your wrist and bring it in? Like she can do that.
Yeah.
Do that again.
No, I can't do it.
Take the base away, you take the drive away, the wrist is no good. So it doesn't matter how strong her wrist is. She can curl 10,000 pounds with the wrist. Do it again. No, curl your wrist.
Yeah.
Without the base, without the drive, the wrist is useless. Like I said, the third floor doesn't exist without the second floor. The second floor can't exist without the first floor. So if this or this is wrong, this is useless. Even if you can lift 10,000 times more than someone else, it doesn't have any value because it's like chopping your arm off. The wrist can, like I can curl 20,000 pounds with this. It's good. I chop your shoulders right here. How well do you think that wrist is going to curve anymore? It's not. So she has power to create that drive and turn. And you can do this in experiment. And again, you can do that with your friend. Hold the elbow very solid. Let them turn. And then you can see they can get that power. Then when they do it, just pull the elbow away.
Yeah,
and see how her arm just goes away. So it's not about getting stronger wrist. Like I said, wrist is good if you're going to do grappling where you want to grip them and you want to hold them. That's where, you know, your wrist strength can come into play.
How about flexibility? Can you give them an exercise for wrist flexibility?
Flexibility, simple, just bend the wrist like this, twist the wrist like this, turn the wrist like this. These are simple wrist flexibility you do. Aikido does it all the time. You can get very flexible with wrist. Just grab your thumb, put your palm on the back of your hand, just rotate your wrist this way and just let it just hold for a few seconds. You're not trying to kill your wrist, okay? So don't do it where you have pain. That's saying no pain, no gain. That really isn't true, especially when it comes to flexibility. You don't want pain when you're flexible. You want discomfort. You want to feel that pull, slight pull. But if you're hurting yourself to get that, it's no good. Okay. Remember, lifting is a controlled trauma. It's what it really is. You're actually damaging your muscles, but you're doing it in a way where you do it just enough so the muscle has time to build. If you damage too much, it can take too long to build. You can even tear your muscle, even hurt yourself, depending on how hard you do. So that saying no pain, no gain isn't really true because, you know, you only feel pain in the beginning of your lifting because your lactic acid settling in. But once you work out after a while, you don't get the lactic acid. You don't feel the pain, but you can still grow. So that's why the no pain, no gain thing is not really true. You just have to, like I said, work the muscles where they tear a little bit, and then you let the body heal. That's why you have to rest it. You can't work the same muscle every day because it doesn't have time to heal. Okay, so little bits of stretching, holding like this, feel the pressure, just hold for a little bit, just feel it, and then just release it and hold for 10 seconds, just do it again. And when I learned the human anatomy, when the tendons start to stretch at a certain rate, they stay stretched for 24 hours before they actually contract back to where they were. So if you actually stretch every day, that's why if you practice every day, you can get further and further and further. But you just have to be consistent. You have to be committed into what you're doing to make yourself better. Okay, like I said, there are lots of techniques where she can grab my wrist like this. Again, I don't need a lot of strength. I need to know how to drive and control. So hold me tight. Use two hands so they can see it. So she can use two hands. I'm using one. Let me have a sleeve so you don't grab it. Yeah. So I go like this and don't let me move if I can. If I go, yes. See, right now, I'm not really using my wrist. I think I am. I turn my wrist. But am I really turning my wrist or am I really pulling my arm? I'm really pulling my arm. This is, no, don't let me do it if you can. This is me driving. See, I'm driving my wrist. Now watch. No, hold it, hold it. Hold it. So I'm driving the wrist and then I turn. Okay, so I'm not attacking her arm, I'm attacking her wrist. And I know the science behind it. I'm not going to break that down. I'm giving you guys a lot of information, but I'm not going to break that down. Maybe another time, but not today.
A lot of goodies here. All right, so Gregory did say so true on the center line. I used a Wing Chun against a against a boxer and have a nice lip scar because of the hook. So yeah, Gregory found out real time why that doesn't work. Sorry to hear about that, but you're in the right place to fix those errors. So all good. Also the comment from Strong Spirit. Hi guys, I miss you guys so much. Much blessings. Looking for you guys. I got unsubscribed and none of my notifications were coming in. Oh, that sucks. Well, I'm glad you refound us. I'm so happy I got you guys back and you guys are the best. Well, thank you, Strong Spirit, for your support. And I'm glad you found us again. And hopefully you don't get disconnected. That would suck. Next time, just find us. Just look for us. Enter Shaolin, enter Tai Chi. You will find us either way. All right. We do have a question. Let's see if I can get this thing to go away. Come on. Oof. Okay, there we go. Maybe not. Dear, what is going on? This chat is like, I don't want. Okay, there we go. Sorry, my iPad over here is like freaking out on me and giving me boxes on top of your guys' comments where I can't physically see what they're saying. All right, from A. Dear Sifu, if someone has their arm bent, could you still apply an elbow break on them?
It depends on the how much of a bend. If it's a little bit, yes, you can. But if it's like this, it makes no sense to do that. It's better to do an arm bar, not an arm bar, or a wrist lock as opposed to an arm bar. It just depends on the angle. In other words, if they have their hand like this, yes, you can still do it. If they're stronger than you, you don't want to try and push the elbow. The secret lies in the wrist control. Like I said, it's actually in the wrist. And I'm not going to explain it. I'm just going to demonstrate. Okay. If I go like this and keep your arm bent, right? Don't let me bend it. So not too much. When it's too much, it's like I say, when it's past a certain 45 degrees, it becomes too much. When it's like this, I'd rather just go in. Oh. It favors in than it is still go out. Yeah. So if she bends it like this much, let's say. So much? Okay. If I try to push it, don't let me do it. You can hold that, right? Mm-hmm. Oh, no. I can take that now. There's a secret to doing that. Like it's the same thing. And I can do this, arm like this. Now she can bend this. I could because I have the hook in here. I have the control. Yep. If I go like this, no, bend your arm so I can't. Bend right. This way. Okay. If I go like this, can you hold that? Nope. There's a difference. There's a technique behind that where it doesn't matter their strength. You can control energy. So if they use their strength, you can convert their energy and lock their elbow out at that. The reason why that works well is because I have her arm wrapped and she can't move her arm and get away. Whereas this, she can move her arm and get away. So it makes it very, very difficult. She has the ability to, remember the golden rule of blocks, if there's room to move, room to escape. So if I just have it like this at that 90, it's too much. It's better to go that way because I don't have the control. But when I wrap her arm, I have much more influence. So she can't get away and move her arm. So this way, I isolate her. I can get her from this angle, this position right here. She can, look, and I'm just going to use my finger and my thumb. I'm not going to, can you hold it? Yeah. Hold it. Can you? Hold it. Nope. Okay, so we do techniques where once we isolate control, we can get them to lock out because we manipulate energy. We don't overcome energy. So we're not trying to use strength over them. We're trying to manipulate their strength against them, and that's the way we work. Mm-hmm. Armbar can work at a certain angle in a certain position. Like if I have her wrap like that, yes, I can lock her. Even if her arm's like this, I can take it out because I can actually take her strength and guide it to the lock. I don't have to overcome it. Whereas, like I said, when you're doing stuff like this, she's able to move, do this and that, and get away. You can't lock them because they just have too much mobility. But if you can isolate them, then you can manipulate them. Mm-hmm. But like I said, if they're free to flow and I got their arm and she's bent and I don't have her arm sealed and wrapped where I can control it, then it's better to go locking her arm in because she's favored to go that way. But if I want to armbar her and I have her wrapped, then yes, you can do the other because I have the isolation control where she can't get away from it. So that's the best answer I can give you.
Let's see. Room says, what is the best approach? Is it better to have a mental approach that is serious like a samurai or less serious and more jovial like, say, Jackie Chan approach, Three Stooges style? I personally say somewhere in between, but it also really depends on where you're at. Sometimes you need to be a little bit more serious. Sometimes you need to be a little bit more goofy. It's called guile, really. What's your thoughts, Sifu?
Like what in a fight?
I'm guessing so. They're talking about the mental approach in general. So, I mean, we're definitely, all three of us are somewhere in between, a samurai and Three Stooges for sure.
Remember, having confidence stuff is great, but having confidence doesn't mean that you are what you believe. All right. And we can talk about other things about you are what you believe versus what you really are. You have to be real. You can be confident if you're you can prove yourself time and time again that you can do what you do. That's confidence. But to be overconfident to where you believe you can do something you've never done before, that's just false confidence. So I have confidence in what I do, but I'm always realistic that I'm human. Like whenever I do seminars and I do demonstrations, okay, I always worry. I don't worry whether the technique works or not. I worry that I make human error because I am human. For example, I do jump spinning back kick or jump 360 flying 360 kick. I'm like, Lord, please don't make me mess up. Please don't let's see the day where I miss the pad. You know what I mean? Like if you do a kick and you do it well, let's say 100 kicks, you make 99, one you might make an error. There's always errors. Nobody's perfect. So you have to be realistic and know that you can be confident, but know that there's always human error. So when I do seminars, I never worry about my techniques. I know my techniques are very good. I don't worry about that because I'm always controlling someone's energy, so I don't have to force it. So I'm always able to do that. But when I'm doing a move where, like I said, I'm doing a 360 crescent kick, that requires skill, accuracy, and control in the air. So if you mess up in a launch, you mess up somewhere when you lean, then you can't save yourself. When someone if they make a mistake and they're not better than me, if they capitalize on it, I can counter it still. But if I'm jumping in the air and I know I'm wrong, I'm like, crap, I'm going to miss. I already know. So yes, I'm confident, but again, I always know I'm human. I always know I can make errors. I know there could be a day in which I can make a mistake, in which I can look bad. But most of the time, like I said, the training is you can't stop 100% all the time because there's human error. So if I get punched a straight line punch 1,000 times, I might stop 999 of them, but I might make a one. The goal is to get, like my students in the beginning, they might stop 5 out of like 10 punches, and the other 5 they get hit. The goal is the error is supposed to happen once every 10, let's say. It becomes every 1 every 20, 1 in every 30, 1 in 40. They're training the skills so that they make errors very little at a time. But again, there's human errors. Sometimes you can feel groggy. Sometimes you don't feel in a good mood. Sometimes just the stroke of luck. Things happen. But our training is so we are best prepared what we can be, so that we are doing what we do all the time that way. That's what you train for. You train for muscle memory so it acts that way. Specifically respond every time you feel energy to a certain way, you respond that way. We train in sensitivity. Why? Because I feel pressure. I immediately know how to drive the technique to my wrist. I can turn end point. I train to do that. I train my students to do that. So anytime we feel pressure, we don't fight pressure. We convert pressure. So we're always trained to do that. But sometimes, like I said, if you're tired, you're caught by surprise. You're just groggy, you didn't sleep for 10 days. Yeah, of course I'm not going to be my right self. So I had bad news. I don't care about living. God forbid, something happened to my children. I wouldn't care. I wouldn't want to, like, go ahead, fight me. I don't care. I don't really care. I got hurt, and my shoulder's off a little bit. All these things can throw you off. So be confident, but be realistically confident. Don't be overconfident. The mental state I have is, in any approach I have, for me, I'm a born-again Christian. I do my best. I trust the Lord's there to help me through what I do. So that's for me. Win, lose, whatever. I trust that I'm in God's hands, and whatever happens, God allows it. One way or another, whether I succeed, I'm blessed. If I fail, it's a lesson to be learned. It's something that's like, it might be where He want me here now. He might want me here there. So I put myself in the Lord, and I trust that whatever happens to me, because I do surrender to His life, His will. And so whatever happens to me, I know I'm in God's hands. I know nothing goes beyond what He allows. And whatever happens, I take the attitude of He allows it, and He knows it for the best for me. He never wants the worst for me. So whatever happens, whether it's for me to not what I want because I'm suffering a little bit, but that might be what He does as a lesson to help someone else in the future or make me a better person. Whatever the case, I take the attitude of whatever may happen, I know I'm in God's hands. I know it's always going to turn out good in the end, one way or another. So that's the attitude I carry mentally. And when it comes to a fight, I'm confident in what I do, but I'm always aware that I can fail because there's human error. You can fail. You get the best fighter who can lose on a bad day.
Yeah.
So it doesn't mean he's a bad person, a bad fighter. He just lost that day. He's won 500 fights. He lost one. Doesn't mean he's a bad fighter. He just had a bad day that day. He got a lucky shot. Maybe he had bad news. He didn't want to fight that day because he just didn't care. Mike Tyson, everybody thought he was unbeatable. Buster Douglas was the first one to prove that he can't. And then after that, he started faltering his training.
Right, because he started having self-doubt.
But no one takes away that Mike Tyson was one of the best, if not the best boxer of all times. So no one's going to take that away, even if he lost. So, like I said, the mental state I carry is always Christ first. In a fight, I'm always aware that things can happen. That's why I end it as fast as I can. I don't want to be so overconfident. If I get in a street fight, which I have had in the past, I always worry that somebody somewhere around the corner has got a gun who's going to shoot me, and I can't do anything from 20 feet away. So I'm always worried. I know I'm mortal. I can't stop bullets. Not yet. I got in a fight in college. Somebody tried to jump me. I wound up taking them out. But I walked away as soon as I could. I mean, I literally ran because I'm in a neighborhood I don't know. People might be here and try to kill me after this. So I just ran. I didn't run, but I walked away fast. But again, I use my wisdom. I use my judgment. I rationalize everything. I don't, like I said, I'm not overconfident.
Exactly. Don't be too serious.
Things I know, I'll speak with confidence. Things I don't know, I say I don't know. Yeah. Like when you ask me about herbs, I don't know that stuff. I don't sit there and argue, well, you're wrong about it. I'm talking about what I don't know, but I do know what I do know. I do talk with confidence. That's my advice. Have confidence. Don't overcome. Have confidence in what your past experience showed you, what you're good at, not what you think you can do. What you think you can do is not necessarily what you can do. So that's my 2 cents.
Right on. James says that's an intelligent way to stay in the moment and have peace. Absolutely. And Robin says, amen. Let me go back up here a little bit.
OTW Live has a question.
Let me go up here a little bit.
Very early. And Shalom has one. Oh, no, we already did that. Yeah, Shalom did.
Yeah, I already took care of OTW. If you're talking about the Wing Chun course, I already addressed that earlier.
Oh, okay.
In the comments and live. So they are good to go. Will it? I joined your channel. Would you advise on a plan of study using your videos? So the channel videos are bonus training videos. There's not really a course layout in the $4.99 plan. It's just a way for you guys to have some cool extra perks for helping support the channel. If you're looking for more structured courses, you definitely want to become a member at entershaolin.com/join and go check that out. That's where we have all of our courses laid out. And then if you do that, make sure you sign up to the orientation. I'll find out what all you're looking to do with the next year at bare minimum of your training, and we'll create a course of action based on the training plans. Most of the stuff though in that section for the YouTube channel for the members, a lot of it is beginner based stuff. So whatever, you're looking to do that you find in there, just jump on it and try it out. Some of it is a little bit more intermediate, but most of it is beginner friendly. So hopefully that helps you, Will it? And then thank you for being a supporter of the channel. All right, let me go down here a little bit. You can call me Taurus. Hi, brothers and sisters. Hello. Mark says, can you demonstrate staying in a cat stance during a dynamic combo? Can you move side to side in a cat stance or just linear?
Okay, cat stance is good if you want to start from the beginning, but once you're in combat and you engage, you're going back and forth, you should not be in a cat stance. You could transfer.
And if you can make this really fast, because I just realized it's 2:31.
Okay, so cat stance is good only in the beginning in combat when you're ready to start. But once you're moving in, you go to cat stance, horse stance, and bow and arrow. You should alternate in a change based on how you want to base yourself, plant yourself in the hands, what kind of pressure you feel, what kind of you need to do. So cat stance is good cutting in the beginning. But again, once you do, you should transition between cat stance, horse stance, bow and arrow stance. Those are the steps that you need to do. For example, I'm gonna cat stance. She punches me. I go from a cat to here, then I go like this. I might go from here to a bow and arrow into this position to that, and then I can go to horse, and then I might go into a cat in a step. They're transitional.
So can you would never recommend just
staying in one stance?
Right.
No. It's again. That's like saying, can I just hold my hand like this, and just, every time they punch me, I can just do this? No, you have to change it because pressure changes, angle changes, point of contact changes, the way they counter you changes. All these things go into effect. So there's no one way of standing and saying that's, you can stand any way you want in the beginning. There's no pressure on you. So I can stand like this, and you've seen people do this. You've seen people stand horse stance. You've seen people stand in cat stance. Either way is fine, but you never see them stay that way once they start engaging. They always change. So there's depending on the range. Like I said, if I need to move in closer, I might go to bow and arrow to a kick. I might shuffle from a horse stance to close in. If they come in on me, I might sit back and do cat stance and do the kick. It all depends on that range that you have, whether they're moving away, moving in, cutting an angle. So you can cut angles too, but A cat stance is might be a beginning stance that you want. You can do a horse stance. You can do a bow and arrow stance. It's up to you, depending on your range. Like I would never do a bow and arrow stance at a close range because I'm too committed to my leg. They can kick my leg out. But I can do a bow and arrow from this distance with her and me because I have the distance to be able to respond. But I would never come to the screen. Okay. So if she's this close, I wouldn't be in a bow and arrow stance like this. I'm very vulnerable with my leg. I can't pull my weight off before she can actually kick me. So you don't want to be in a bow and arrow stance at a close range. But I could be this far because if she's trying to kick me at this now, I have plenty of time to see it and count it. So you could take your stance however you want based on your distance, but you can never stay in one stance too long because the distance, the pressure, and all that. They will require you to change foot position, angles, arm position, body position. All that goes into account.
All right. Gregory did say thank you for your insight on the wrist. This will change my mental thoughts when doing Silm Tao. Yes.
Okay, just to let you know, just real quick with the wrist. This is moving your wrist. When you move your wrist, your forearm should actually feed the wrist and move with it. This is not moving your wrist, okay? People do Silm Tao like this, and they go, what's the wrist for? They go, oh, it's for stretching. Bull. They're giving you a political answer. They have no clue what that's for. So they tell you it's for stretching. It's not. Wrist has to accompany a forearm. For every torque in the wrist, there must be a drive that backs that up. If you torque your wrist without a drive, it's no good. It's like taking a drill, spinning the drill, and never pushing forward. What kind of hole can you put? None. Okay, for a drill to work, you have to have forward pressure while spinning. Same thing with the arms. You must create a forward drive from the elbow to the wrist while moving the wrist. So this is a proper hood. Okay, this is not a proper hood. And I can show you the signs, but not today, next week. I can show you why. The Hun Sao is not just the wrist. It has to be the form accompanying it. If it doesn't, it won't work in combat. Yeah. It can work in stretching. Yes, they say it's good for stretching because that's all it's good for. There's no combat for it at all. And they'll tell you it's for stretching because they can't say to you, I don't know. As a Wing Chun teacher, I practice, but I don't know why. They're going to give you a bogus answer. It's a political answer. There's no value for Hun Sao to be where the arm does not move. It has no value whatsoever. It's not how a Hun Sao should be. A Hun Sao should be like this. This is a proper Hun Sao. This is not a proper Hun Sao. Anybody who teaches that does not know what they're talking about. They can't prove it in combat. I can.
All right, and one last quick question that we can address. Do you have any training books to buy in case I'm in a place where there's no Wi-Fi? For example, I buy a Tai Chi book. Yes. No, not currently. We do not. But in the future, we will have some mini books available in Enter Shaolin 2.0. So that will be coming up. But as of right now, the only thing we have is our No Deck Na Fundamentals ebook.
Yeah, I have to write my knowledge on a book. Well, I started, but it's so much. I don't know what to do.
This is why we're going to do mini books, and then eventually we'll have a giant compilation, so that way you're not overwhelmed. So we're working on that behind the scenes. We'll get back to you on that.
Yeah, I think I should do chapter a little bit, like principles.
Well, right. We're gonna do
I'll do that.
Ones. We're gonna do that. Books. All right. So we'll work on that and we'll help you out. And thanks for being a supporter, Robin, to the channel. All right, family members.
Oh, read James. James made a comment
shortly, and I'm going down. James says, "I've been in martial arts for 30 years with breaks and different systems. You are brilliant, Sifu, and I can't wait to visit and expand my knowledge." Awesome, James.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
At Shaolin.com, but if you're not, make sure you sign up, family, because that's where you're gonna find all the real goodies. Members, we're going to see you in a few minutes on the members only Q&A. Everyone else, we'll see you next week. Hopefully on time next week. Hopefully no techie issues. Again, we're going to stay at this slot 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thanks for joining us. We'll see y'all soon. Peace and God bless.